What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So this one I wanted to talk a little bit about some safety stuff. So playing kind of off the last video of the pantry that we shot, I wanted to play off of that, talk a little bit about safety, and then some other things you can or should consider. So when you're putting up food, be it from the garden that you're growing, or canning meats and things like that, fermenting foods, pickling not so much because that's really refrigerated, and maybe we'll do videos on that in the future, but for this one I just wanted to add a little bit more to it, certainly in these times. And I'm not one to play off of the pandemic and clickbait a title. Some people would disagree with that, with my most watched video when I casted for the Alone show on History Channel. I didn't clickbait that. I came up with the title based off what the show was about. But people still give me the devil. To each their own. Don't really give a shit. It's not a big deal. But anyways, so I wrote some notes to kind of like keep me on track here and not get too far off, to share with you guys. And this is how I think about it, right? What I'm actually doing, so it's not something I seen on a video, something I read in a book, and now I'm trying to be the expert and share it with you. This is the way I've carried myself over the years in my, the survival and bushcraft realm, at my school, certainly, when I had that. And it's no different. I'm still the same person. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not better than you. It's never been about that to me. It's about, I enjoy the things I do so much that as I gain the experience, or maybe some of the experience I've had for years, I just want to share that. I enjoy shooting YouTube videos, and hopefully you enjoy watching them, and if not, that's fine too. No big deal. Again, no harm, no foul. But I try to put out at least good information, like accurate information, and if there's something I don't know, then I'm not all over social media trying to be the expert, right? I'm not trying to gain something from this. It has nothing to do with any of that. So, again, title of the video, I just wanted to talk about some tips to think about if you're going to do this pantry stuff. And in that last video, I talked about how I think everybody should be doing this, at least to some scale, to whatever you're capable of doing wherever you're at, be it an apartment, rental place, house, however many acres you have, etc., etc. So that's really all it is. So 5 tips, and these aren't necessarily in any type of order, but I figured as I went through them in my head, I got down to the safety things, and maybe they deserve a little bit more attention. So I'm going to start off with the safety things. So if you're canning anything, for that matter, be it vegetables, fruits, jams, whatever, there's places you can look to definitely make that experience a lot safer for you. So most of the jars I have are from Ball. They're one of the top of the line. They're not super expensive. You can find them at Tractor Supply, probably a local hardware store, or anything like that. I forget what, I think $12 to $15 for a case is what I just seen yesterday, I think at Tractor Supply. So it doesn't have to be expensive, so to speak. But so, safety in mind, one of the places I looked at was the USDA website. And if you Google that USDA website and you look for the complete guide to home canning, it's going to give you the latest and greatest on what to do and not what to do based off of what you're actually doing. So if you're canning meat, that's drastically different than canning vegetables. If you're water bathing, a total different experience. pickling, fermenting, etc., etc. Elevation comes into play there. So where I'm at here in the northeast of New Hampshire, I don't want to put out information with times and techniques on how to can raw meat for the world to see on YouTube, when if you're in the mountain regions, wherever you're at, and you're at a higher elevation, it's totally different for you. So again, I'm not trying to be the expert. I'm just trying to share information, and hopefully you can take something away from this. So the USDA website, Complete Guide to Home Canning, is a really good one that you should definitely check out. If you're old school and you have, the Ball Complete Guide to Canning and all that, there's multiple books there, multiple references that have changed over time, because over time they're constantly figuring this stuff out. So if you're not up with the latest and greatest on that information, you might want to look into that. So I've got the newest edition. I'm sorry, I didn't write that down. Should have took a picture or something to share with you guys. I'll leave that in the description. I'll leave a link to the book. You could probably get it on Amazon, but I'll leave a link in the description to this because I think it's that important. So the Ball Canning book, again, has evolved over time because time matters and new things are considered, right? So if you look at that book, it's going to give you a bunch of safety information when it comes to canning, and that's what you should be referencing, again, along with the USDA. Google that, a lot of information there. Fermenting's the same. I have a book on that as well. It's the latest and greatest, at least where we're at now in time. I'll leave that link in the description as well. So after that, safety in mind, there's 5 tips, again, in no specific order, but things you should consider if you're going to put up your own food. So first and foremost, maybe, is you have to label it. If you're canning food, fermenting food, pickling food, which is a little different in your refrigerator, but if you're doing this type of stuff, you definitely need to label the jars, the date you did it, and what's in it. And you can think for a second, like, yeah, I know that is corned beef hash. It looks like it, I know what it is. But over time, as I fill these shelves up, I'm probably going to forget that. So first and foremost, label your jars with the date and what is actually in it. Huge. Can't overemphasize that enough. 2, and where, I watch a lot of videos on YouTube as well, and where I see a huge discrepancy between, some channels opposed to others, is people that are doing it right and people that are doing it, in my opinion, not as right. Doesn't mean they're wrong, and again, not a shot across the bow at them, but number 2, only put up the food that you actually eat. So I'm not going to go through the motions, waste a ton of resources, 1 in the jars, 2 in my time to spend hours canning things and all that for food that I just don't eat anyways. It just doesn't make sense, right? And that goes for the full spectrum of food. So MREs are one. I'm a military guy, 23 years in, still serving. And initially in basic training, I loved MREs. It was a new experience. Like, oh my God. And you look through all the MREs possible, try to figure out what each one has for the snacks and the this and the that. It's a new experience, and it was cool, right? It was fun. And I thought they were awesome. Over time, not so fun, not so great, didn't really care for it, to where I would bring my own food whether I was on active duty or just in a drilling status in the National Guard, to be able to eat normal food that I didn't have to eat at MRE. I think the same goes for the Mountain House meals. I've tried a few of those. Some of them were okay. Again, to me it's like a MRE, not a huge fan, but that's just me. Maybe you have a different opinion, and that's fine. But again, put up food that you're actually going to eat. So if I don't like peppers, don't want nothing to do with peppers, I don't eat them, I shouldn't plant peppers in my garden, and I shouldn't put them up in my food storage, right? I mean, carry the one. There you go. Number 3, again, this kind of goes with the safety realm as well. One, you should store it in a place where it's going to keep. So by that I mean the temperature doesn't vary drastically. It doesn't get too hot, too cold. There's kind of a consistency there. But even so, in my space here, in my basement, temperature is super consistent here. However, I've strategically placed this in a way where I'm coming down to do other things. I have laundry to do, I have animals to check, oil, etc., etc. Temperature's pretty much a constant here, but every time I come by, I'm just touch the seals and make sure they're still sealed. Because if they're not, that's a hazard, and you're putting yourself at risk for, eating something bad. So again, on the air of caution, safety in mind, when you come by here, some things are a bit different, but certainly, the meats or whatever, but anything typically that I can, I'm just going to put my finger on top as I come down. Doesn't take long, not even a couple minutes. And just check the seals and make sure they're still safe. And if you do that on a regular basis, you can actually save the food if the lid isn't sealed. I actually just did that yesterday. So I came down, actually during that day I thought I heard a seal pop, I wasn't sure. I was feeding the rabbits. So I came by, did the test, and there was one that actually popped. It wasn't bad, it was only a day because I check it. And I took it upstairs and I cooked it. And it was phenomenal. And here I am shooting a video, I'm not sick or anything like that. So again, safety in mind. Routinely check your seals as you go. The 4th one, already kind of touched on this, but follow proper canning and fermenting guidelines. Again, whether it's the USDA, whether it's the latest and greatest from the Ball Canning Book itself, and again, there's numerous. Like even at Tractor Supply yesterday, I seen 2 different Ball Canning books, and they're actually outdated. So I currently have the latest and greatest from Ball, and you need to keep up on that, so you're in the loop on safety precautions and things of that nature. 5th and finally, you have to rotate it, right? So homesteading kind of says it all. It's a little different, and I've touched on this in another video, but it's different than prepping. So prepping, I would have a full basement with as much as I could afford, everything inclusive, be it, no pun intended, toilet paper, whatever, all the food, everything. And again, in most of those videos that I've watched in that realm, it's a bunch of packaged foods that, yeah, maybe they store long term, but it's probably not something your family typically eats all the time. 2, it can be very expensive to put that type of stuff up, and if you have the money for it, not a big deal to you, I get it. But it tends to just sit there for that shit hit the fan emergency scenario that probably never happens. Where we're at currently today, with what's going on in the world, I would highly doubt they're even dipping into that. Maybe they are, maybe some people are, but I doubt it. But again, it's going to sit there. And I've eaten MREs in my career that were long far gone. Expiration date, yeah, months ago. MRE's still good. I didn't question it. I ate it because I had to. I had no choice. But if you have the choice, you're putting up your own food, you need to be rotating through your stock, right? So again, not necessarily store-bought stuff, though it can be, but stuff that you're actually producing for yourself. In my sense, it's animals that I'm plussing up on the homestead currently. I'm gonna grow that to an extent with certain animals. Vegetables with the gardening I'm planning, already kind of started that, and I'm right at the point I'm gonna get more into that. But it's fresh food, it's organic food, and I thought about this earlier before I was planning on shooting the video. Organic can be costly too. So I had a really good friend of mine, I'm not going to name a name, but he and his family ate organic. And he spent some time up at my house with me and my family a couple, 3 years ago or somewhere in there. And because they ate organic, I just felt compelled to go to the grocery store and buy some organic food to carry us through that weekend so I could oblige my friend and his family, right? And it was pricey. If you're buying organic food at the grocery store, I feel your pain. However, to some extent, you can do this. Like, you can do it. I promise. If I can do it, you can do it. Guaranteed. So a couple windowsills or something like that, small gardens in the windowsill will definitely start you on the right path, and then, you know, deal with it as you go and grow as you go, as they say. I think it's huge and totally underestimated. But I've been doing that, and that's why I'm sharing it with you, that I think you can too. So fresh food, the garden, eat fresh long as possible, and then come harvest season, there's going to be so much, maybe, depending on your situation, that you can't possibly eat it all. And then here we are in the pantry, and you start putting things up. And then you can succession plant to purposely put things up. That's a whole different topic, but fresh food's what I'm talking about, folks. So again, I can do it, you can do it. I think it's relevant. Again, I just want to like create a buzz, not for me, but a buzz in you to do this for yourself. And it's probably bad timing for this video because I don't want to play off of a bad scenario. That's not what the video is about, because I've already been doing it. I've already started this before any of this happened. But I want you to do it. I want you to be healthy. I want you to take care of you and your family. And it's not that hard to do. The biggest thing in all of this stuff, guys, is time. You just have to dedicate a little time to it. I found the time. I'm dedicating it to that. And I hope you're enjoying the videos. Again, I hope I'm inspiring at least somebody to consider this, and if it's possible, to do it. So there's my long-winded rant, perhaps, of the day. Sorry to do it that way, but tried to take the notes so I didn't get too far off. But I think it's relevant, and there's other folks out there that, you know, doing similar things, and, you know, they're big in the community or whatever, and they're telling you perhaps something different. I'm trying to reel it back in a way that it's understandable for you, because I'm just a simple dude just like you guys. I promise you I am. And I'm not above you in any way, shape, or form. So just look at what you're seeing, social media, YouTube, whatever. Think of what that means to you, and does it make sense? And if you even consider what I say, then that's cool. I appreciate that. So I hope you got something out of this. I'm enjoying being back shooting videos again, and I hope I help somebody. I really do. So until the next one, God bless you guys. Take care.